Listening to it again, man. Grand rising to all. Hopefully, all y'all had an amazing weekend. It was a very balanced weekend for me, and I want to make sure that it was a very balanced weekend for me. It's funny. I did a lot more. Hold on, let me turn this over. I don't know why that camera's showing like this. 1 second. So we were gonna do the show upstairs, ended up coming downstairs, and I don't know. Sometimes I go back and forth. Let me move this. Let me keep moving this over. I like when y'all can see a little bit of the. I like when y'all can see a little bit of the outside. Is that too much of the outside? There we go. Just a nice balance. All right. So, yeah, like I was saying, this weekend was definitely more of a balanced weekend for me. I actually did a lot of meditating, manifesting, thinking about what's next, trying to figure out in my mind what's next for society, what's next for me, what's next for, that I'm going to be committing my time, effort, and energy to. And I told y'all I'm big on the visualization. So I spent a lot of time visualizing the play, planning, talking to some good people over this last week, and I'm feeling good about life. I'm feeling good about life. I hope you all are as well. Please make sure before we proceed, make sure that you like, subscribe. That's going to really help out with the algorithm. Turn your notifications on if you haven't already. We got a lot to discuss while the camera gets in focus. What do we have on? I doubt we get through everything today. I'll be totally honest. I doubt we get through everything today. But yeah, we got everything from apparently a Democrat running in Massachusetts. Apparently he got a Nazi tattoo. We're going to talk about that. I think we need to start asking ourselves a question. Based on J.D. Vance's trip, and I think we covered a little bit of this on Friday, but didn't really go into depth on it. But I think we need to ask ourselves a new question regarding J.D. Vance's trip and question who we are really at war with. Who are we really at war with? A lot of times we can look at an enemy or a common enemy that we're going back and forth with and think we're at war with them. But in all actuality, who are we really at war with? Sometimes we're at war with the people that are amongst our own team and are supposed to be partners of us more so than the people that it appears. So I don't know if y'all can see where I'm going with that one, but I think based on what happened with J.D. Vance, the disrespect that went on while J.D. Vance was in Israel, I think we need to ask ourselves a new question, which we will. We got Nick Fuentes giving some information when it comes to tribalism. So we'll probably start off with that. Started off on a little bit of a lighter note because I do want to continue having this conversation around tribalism. I found a cool video. I was looking at all these tribalism videos over the weekend, and I was, just sitting there trying to figure out what would be a good discussion video for us. So I have something that came up, the science of tribalism. So we're going to take a look at that, see some of the impacts that we may not even be aware of and how it goes into what defines our tribe. And they had even talking about like genetics. A lot of times we ask ourselves whether it's nature or nurture. So that'll be an interesting conversation. Then we have Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro got some nerve, man. Ben Shapiro has some nerve. He had some things to say about a lot of the quote unquote pod bros. So Ben Shapiro, in case you haven't been paying attention, now all of a sudden he's super pro Trump. This guy used to be one of these never Trumpers, which seems to be a running theme in Donald Trump's cabinet right now, and a lot of the people that he has close ties with that seem to be influencing a lot of the decisions that he's making. So Ben Shapiro is one of those people. I believe Lutnick was one of those people as well that called Donald Trump a buffoon years back, who Donald Trump, who is Mr. Petty, seems to have forgiven a lot of these people and now is working so closely with them. And they seem to have a very strong influence. And Ben Shapiro is calling out a lot of the pod bros saying like, yeah, they were never conservative voices. We can't trust them. Pretty much that's what he's saying. But it's kind of ironic because Ben Shapiro was never on the Trump train, but now he's kind of almost positioning himself as the authority when it comes to who we should listen to when it comes to conservatism, Donald Trump, whatever that may be. So we got an interesting video that we'll look at regarding him. And that should take us through. We got a couple other little things that I don't think that we'll get to. But let's start off with Nick Fuentes. I'm sure a lot of people saw. We'll start off with on a light note. On a light note, talking about tribalism. I'm gonna play this video for y'all. In the background, you may see me moving around. I'm gonna try to get this TV up and running. Let's see. Let's get this screen shared for you all. And hold on, my fault. My apologies. My apologies. I'm messing around with these cameras so much. I didn't even hold up. First and foremost, let me first acknowledge everybody in the building. So we got Sam in the building. Grand Rising, Sam. We got Angel in the building. Appreciate you tapping in, Angel. Shout out to Big Bro, always in the building. Good morning and happy Monday. It's going to be an incredible day. Yo, put that out there. Declare it right now. Everybody who's listening right now, declare that this will be a great day. Declare that this will be our greatest week ever. Y'all know what we set out every Sunday and Monday to do, to make this our greatest week ever. To hear. That was interesting. Hold up, Nick. Let me finish my spiel first. But yeah, I was saying I had an improvement. Shout out to Paul. We live, and I wanted to tap in with critical thinking. So critical thinking, he he said he's late today. Then Miles came in hard. So critical thinking hit me up bright and early, and I was prepping, and I was like, you know what? I got to get a little bit of a workout in. So I did my Pete the Noble workout. My big bro Pete the Noble. Y'all know who Pete is if you follow me on Instagram. That's one of my bros. We do a lot of content, a lot of building, a lot of soul searching off the camera, more off the camera than on the camera, even though you probably mostly see us on the camera. But I did 100 squats, 100 push-ups, and I did 100 abs. So that was dope. That was a good start. I feel like I got the endorphins going, got the dopamine going. So that was good. So I appreciate those early AM texts from Critical Thinking. Excellent question. All right. Critical thinking, how far, how fast, good sir or madam? Yeah, definitely throw it out there. It's the man over your shoulder. All right, so let's get to the video. This was a funny video. So normally when I do the reviews for Nick Fuentes' show, I don't post the Q&As. I just don't post them. It's honestly, it's like twice as much work because sometimes the Q&As are just as long or are actually longer than the actual show. So let me just take a look at this. I thought that this was a funny one. Maybe we can unite on this. And for all the beautiful Black queens out there, for all the beautiful Black queens, some of the Asian queens, Nick Fuentes has a message for you. So Mr. Racist, Mr. Misogynist, Nick Fuentes, apparently he has a message for some of the most desirable women out here. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look. And I'm being serious. I'm not joking. Hey, and before we get into this video, y'all know how we do on this show. We keep it respectful in the comments. All right. Jokes are cool and all that, but we do keep it respectful in the comments. Just got to throw that out there. Please, please, please. Let's just golden rule. Treat others the way we want to be treated. Let's get to it.
How do you fight the urge to resist Black women? They're loyal, hot, and respectful, not the ratchet ones. What can I do to fix these issues? There's a lot of good quality Black women in the dating pool.
I know, they really are. They really are irresistible. It's so difficult. Asians too, but sadly our penance is that we have to get married to white women. It sucks, but it is what it is. You know, believe me. These Asian women, they're something else. Black women, it's like you say, some of them are so great. But we have to deal with Taylor Swift fans. They're plump. They're rude, crude. They swear. They speak English. They can't cook. You know, it's not supposed to be enjoyable. That's just a reminder that you're not supposed to have sex for enjoyment. Okay? Something to keep in mind. Sex is not a recreational activity. You're not supposed to enjoy it too much. So it's a subtle reminder. Because if you had an Asian wife or a black wife, specifically if you had a black wife, you'd say, I'm in heaven. You'd say, this is bliss. I never want to die. If you had okay, I hope everybody recognizes this is a bit. All the sense, I can never do jokes anymore because everybody just takes everything way too seriously. I just said what? He's not pro-white. This is a bit. This is a joke.
See, Nick, why you got to go in? I don't know. Did he sound like he was joking? Did he sound like he was joking? Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
But if you had a black wife, you'd say, I'm in heaven. You would probably forsake religion. You'd say, this is the best stuff ever. You would cry out for a chthonic fertility cult. You'd be worshiping some African deity, some female African deity that you get all hooked up on that stuff, some kind of witch doctor stuff. I'm giving you potions. The rhythm of the jungle drum, the lowest chakra, it'd be lost forever. So mating with white women is an obligation of white people. It's not something we're supposed to look forward to. It's an obligation. It is a solemn sacrifice and an obligation. And when you go to one of these weddings in like a rustic chapel and she's wearing cowboy boots and, Pappy comes down the aisle and she's listening to a Taylor Swift song and she subjects you to her dream wedding planning. And you have to take the pictures. And when you post a picture of your hand with the fucking ring, just remember, this is not supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to enjoy this. Just remember, this is a solemn obligation. Talk about a humiliation ritual. This is quite literally the initiating humiliation ritual. It's an initiation humiliation rite. To become a white Christian. And it's very sad and it's very solemn, but it is our obligation and it's what we have to do. And you have to let her colonize the house with Pier 1 imports, decorations, and she needs to take over the playlist, family Spotify with a bunch of shit. And yes, you're going to sell your sports car and get a gay little minivan. And you are going to get fat and you are going to get low testosterone. And yes, she's not going to want to do certain things with it when you get married. A lot of women tweet about this, but this is the way it is. Okay. She's going to make your bedroom all gay. Your bedroom's probably so cool right now. Maybe your bedroom is just a mattress on the floor. Maybe you got a TV on a folding chair. Your wife is going to make your bedroom gay. It's going to be all neutral earth tones, cream colors. Your Twitter banner is going to change. It's going to go from something awesome, like a funny cartoon, to like a family portrait where you're all have no shoes and socks on. You're wearing fucking white button-down shirts on the beach. This is what it becomes. This is what you become. Final stage of the male life cycle is very sad, but it's something that we're all going to have to do. And it's because life is suffering. Okay, life is actually supposed to suck. And it's all just about dealing with the disappointment. It's about letting the suckiness just wash over you. You just have to let it wash over you.
All right. We're probably going to wrap this up in a few, but I just saw this and I started laughing. I'll be totally honest. Maya's the one that showed it to me. So blame Maya if y'all are finding this cringe. I saw critical thinking writing it cringe. But, let me ask y'all a question. Because like as we're laughing at this, and I was laughing at this the entire time, is this how we really think? Is this really what tribalism creates? Is this really the guilt that a lot of us may feel, let's say if we're dating people that are not the same race as us? Is that a thing? Like, even though Nick is joking around with it, he's touching on a lot of very, very serious topics, in my opinion. Not only just what I just said, but even from the standpoint of what is marriage supposed to be? Is marriage supposed to be bliss? Or is it just supposed to be some sort of partnership, some sort of business arrangement? Is it supposed to just be a formality? I don't. What is marriage supposed to be? Is marriage supposed to be the Disney movies? And this goes into another question. Because even when we talk about relationships, I'll be totally honest. in relationships right now, I think a lot of the romanticism is gone. I even joke around with Maya. I say like, yo, men are the new romantics. You know, men, we're the romantics now. It seems like we done got y'all so upset at us that maybe it's drained a lot of the romanticism. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe I don't know. And I have to start saying I don't. All right, I owe somebody every time I say I don't know. I hear I'm laughing with Dr. King. So I told y'all I have my coach. Everybody has to have a coach, right? So I have my coach, my performance coach, and every time y'all check me saying I don't know. Every time I say that, matter of fact, I got $10 for somebody to Cash App, whoever calls me out. Every time I go like this, like I don't know. And do I have to say it twice? Dr. King, I got to check with Dr. King to see if I have to say it twice. And there's nothing wrong with me saying, well, I don't know about this particular area, but it's y'all know what I'm saying. I always say. All right, so let me check some of these comments. So partnership in an industry. All right, that's marriage. That's what critical thinking said. Bliss, it's part of the partnership, not the central focus, not the primary expectation. I want to be happy. I really do want to be happy. I know some people may jump on here and say they don't want to be happy, and I'm probably sure that I've said certain things like that before, but I want to be happy. I don't want to be, I want to be happy. I want to walk out the house with my head held high, happy about life, you know, not waiting till I could get back and see Maya and see my kids and see my parents. I'm envisioning the things that make me happy. I want to be happy. I really do want to be happy. Now, I don't prioritize it over purpose, but I think that my happiest version of myself will be if I'm living in my purpose. But let's keep going. We'll keep going. Nick has started to wear his supremacist a bit much on his sleeve. That's where my cringe happens. That's an interesting comment. Hold on. So, Tim, I actually wrote down a bunch of notes when it comes to this, because that's something that I have been struggling, or not struggling, but that I've been challenging Nick, even when it comes to the review videos, and not necessarily that he sees it, even though I'm sure that he's seen some of the back and forths that we've had, because we're in the same group chat. So, and I told y'all I spoke to him maybe about a couple weeks ago. One of the challenges that I'm having when I'm listening to Nick is it feels like he's trying to do a bit too much, where he's growing and developing. And I believe a lot of the people that initially started following him or may be attracted to him for particular reasons, I think a lot of those reasons are him being the white supremacist, you know, giving those talking points where he'll go on his rants and he'll call Candace Owens a B word, and he'll say these things about black people, and he'll say these things about, you know, what a woman should do, what a wife should do. I do feel like he's trying to lean into his base a bit much, because he's realizing that he's moving in a new direction. And the more people that are made aware of him, the more people that find out about him that may like his content, I think what's happening now is it started with him reaching out to a bunch of people that were angry, frustrated, and emotionally, they were just looking for somebody that could say the things on the platform that he says, the platform that he has, and say those things where they couldn't say it. There was no voice for them to get out their frustrations. Now, the problem that I have with that is the same problem that I have with the Democratic Party. You tend to have to constantly appease those type of people. You have to constantly speak to this victimhood narrative. And that's almost how I see the white supremacist angle. When you start getting pissed off, blaming black people for this, blaming maybe it's Jewish people for this, but that to me is the whole, it's not the same thing, but it comes across to me the same way when Democrats are trying to convince me as a black man that I can't be successful unless I vote for them in America. You know, it gives across that energy to where you're looking more externally rather than internally about controlling the controllables, the things that are within your control. You're placing blame and anger and frustration and projecting that. And Nick, to me, is much smarter. And when I think what happens is a guy like Nick, when you're into politics, when you're having these conversations all day, every day for the last 8 years he's been doing it, I would assume that you would grow. Your opinions may change. Your lens may widen. Your focus may be different. Your perspective, your vantage point, all these different things, your experiences change. You meet new people. It happens for a lot of our leaders. It happened to Malcolm X. You're comparing Nick Fuentes to Malcolm X. I mean, if the shoe fits. With new experiences, you tend to change your opinion. And a lot of the people that have the courage, let's say like a Nick Fuentes, let's say like a Malcolm X, to speak their truth, whatever their truth is, to get on a platform and to speak out. Those people are also, in my opinion, a lot of the people that have the same courage to change their opinion and change their stance when things don't align in that way. So they may receive some new information and then have the courage to do what a lot of people don't have the courage to do and change their mind and admit like, oh, I was often looking at it like this. Maybe that. And I think Nick is getting to that point where he's going to have to make some decisions, and those decisions may piss off a lot of his base. But I'm sorry to go on such a tangent when it comes to that, Tim, but that's something that I've seen. Like, yo, you can get rid of all it's a distraction. It's one of those things that it's a distraction. Nick trying to lean into the white supremacy, the misogyny, all this stuff. I said it the other day. I was sitting there talking to Maya, and I'm like, yo, Nick Fuentes, he tries to appeal to his white supremacist base or whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. But in all actuality, when I hear him, when I hear the lingo that he speaks, like, he can't front. He loves Black culture. He's around a lot of Black people. I could tell Nick Fuentes has been around Black people. You can tell by his lingo. You can tell all these different things. And I probably never even have said that on a review, but it's just coming up in a conversation with y'all. So this whole tribalism nonsense, I think it's nonsense. I think it impacts us in various ways. A lot of times we just get in these groups, we get in these bubbles, and the people that are willing to do any and everything for us, we never want to feel like we're turning our back on them. So every once in a while, we'll do something or say something that lets them know, like, hey, I'm still with y'all. That's what I'm seeing happening. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. What it's supposed to be is a religious question, according to bat-ish religious people like me. Happy is important. Yeah, happy is important. I appreciate that. Especially, I value when people who have more experience in life and I assume relationships as well, give me that feedback. So happy is important. So RB30, shout out to RB30, wrote, marriage is the beginning of the project that you see that sees you both off the. Hold on, why didn't y'all tell me that I had something else playing in the back? What is it? Oh, I got two screens up. I'm looking at it like, hold on. There we go. All right, so marriage is the beginning of the project that sees you both off into the next life. What things like Social Security have usurped? Okay, hold on. I'm getting a text. I got to speed up a little bit. I'm getting a text from my producer. We are products of our environments. I get it. I'm 18 years in my marriage, and I can say I'm happy. That is dope. That is dope, Tim. That is dope, Tim. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your insight. Make sure that you follow, because I think this is one of the first times that you've tapped in with us. So make sure that you stay tuned and join, because we're always looking for that type of advice. So Papacito, hello from Israel, bro. Nice channel. My Israeli brethren or my Israeli sister. Either way, man, appreciate it. Hope all is well. Sending you peaceful energy over there. And like I said, I hope all is well. So that's dope hearing that from Israel. Thank you very much. All right, let's keep it going. Hold on. I don't scroll past Steve comments, in case y'all didn't know. Married to my best friend and the most incredible lady that I know, and one of the most incredible ladies that I know as well, big bro. Yes, you are. That's what I'm. You know what? We were spending some time with Steve and Dr. King, who he's talking about, his incredible lady. And one of the things that I walked away with, even with you're always trying to pick up different things. You pick up things from your parents. You pick up things from different couples, different relationships, you know, my big bro Pete and my big sis Shaga, like different people that I'm around from time to time. I'm always studying in some ways, like how do they communicate? How do they resolve conflict? Like different things like that. Not my big bro Steve, I've picked up a lot of pointers from him. So I'll just leave that there. But oh, we also got, hold on, we got a super chat as well from Paul. So appreciate you, Paul. And see previous comment. Let me go to the previous comment. I like your style, Paul. Let me just say that. If Nick wants to be taken seriously at all, he needs to be more like the guy he was calling for calm after the CK shooting. You can keep the W supremacy stuff. And this is why, hold on. I want to leave Nick's, I want to leave it just like this. I'm going to stay right in the corner and talk to y'all. Paul, so this is definitely a challenge that, or some, I've had a lot of these thoughts, and I've had these conversations where people will say, why do you review Nick Fuentes' videos? They actually think these people, and none of them actually listen to the whole show or listen to me give my response at the end. They think that I do a show with Nick Fuentes. Like they think that Nick Fuentes and we do a show and that everything that he says that I agree with, and that's they'll see a little clip. That's their takeaway. So when I have these conversations with them, I say, why wouldn't I review Nick Fuentes? He's one of the biggest, most influential people right now, especially when it comes to the younger generation. How would I not take interest in him? Then when you actually watch him, you see like, yo, bro is talented. He's talented. He's going to make an impact in shaping what the rest of this world is going to look like for years to come. His influence. Remember how Tupac said, I may not be the one who changes the world, but I'm going to give the spark to somebody who will. Well, Nick Fuentes can fill both of those shoes. Nick Fuentes has that much of an influence where he can shift things. When you have that many young people looking at you, and y'all get what I'm saying. I take interest in not only Nick Fuentes, but I take interest in the people that are following him. Because we've gone so radical with this spectrum, us having two political parties, two candidates, where if I actually sat back and looked at both sides of it, all of like so many of us, we'd be like, you know what? I like a couple things over there, or I get their energy over here, but I feel like I'm more over here, but they be bugging over here too. So you find yourself not fully, and not that you'll ever be fully aligned or fully embrace the messaging of any party that you may vote for or belong to. However, I think there's a lot of frustrated people with both parties that may hear a message from a guy like Nick and it really resonate. But then when Nick may say certain things, or certain people may hear certain clips of Nick saying certain things that may come across as white supremacist, misogynist, things along these lines, a lot of people won't even take the time to look into him. For me, the fact that if I put out a Nick Fuentes video and I do a review, and let's say 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people are reviewing it, and then maybe, let's say just 10% of that, let's say 1,000. Let's say if it was less than 1,000 people, right? Staying to look at what I'm saying afterwards, I think it can bring a lot of things together. And I think it can hopefully, I'm using his platform, to be totally honest. I'm using his platform to reach his audience, because I think there's a lot of people that are following Nick Fuentes that are just looking for something else, that are following him for his energy, that may be following him for different things. But I think Nick doesn't know who he wants to lean into right now. And this is just, look, Nick is very successful. He's doing his thing. But when I hear certain things of him leaning into the whole white supremacy, different things like that, I just question it. So I'm with you on that. Paul. Let me keep going, because I feel like I'm missing out. So Paul wrote, thank you first and foremost, Paul. So Paul wrote, just to be clear, my criticism was of him, not of you covering it. I value your take on it. No. And Paul, I didn't take it at all like that. I didn't take it at all like that. I really didn't take it at all like that. Those conversations that I have with people, they're not people that watch the show. Like, you're on here. You know what I mean? You're on here. I don't take that at all like that. But I think it's important. I remember watching old videos of like Malcolm X debating on Phil Donahue or Khalid Muhammad and all these people, and then bringing different people who have, polar opposite views, or so it appears have polar opposite views, and they would sit down and have a discussion. It would be respectful. This is what I want to get to, because what we don't realize is that when we are okay with these people not coming together and having these conversations, all it does is radicalize us more and more, and it limits our options. It takes away our options. So here, let's say the majority of us, we're moderate, we're in the middle. We don't necessarily, let's say when it comes to a radical issue on this end, we may say, hey, y'all are doing a little bit too much. A super radical issue on this end, we may say, all right, we can figure this out in a better way. The majority of people end up having to, be forced almost to pick a side, or you feel like you're just voting for something that's not really going to make an impact. There's not a true party out here or somebody that has a real chance that represents the majority of your values and your principles. That's what I end up seeing. So when we force people to get together and have a lot of these conversations, I think that not only it forces them to maybe see the craziness that they may be aligning themselves with, but it allows us to hold them accountable as the viewers to say, okay, we like this, we like that. We kind of can pick and choose. I think that there were just a lot of benefits of it. I really do believe that. But let me, do we need to keep going on this Nick video? I think we can move on. I think we spent a little bit. We spent enough on there. I actually want to get to this Ben Shapiro video. This was an interesting video that I saw with Ben Shapiro. Let me kind of fast forward a little bit because we're already
Bernie Sanders, even if Bernie was more likely to lose to Donald Trump. Why? Because the risk factor in having Sanders are then rooting for the socialists to take over the Democratic Party. Podbro's joking with my, oh, he's so hilarious. Oh, he's so charming. Oh, I know there are a lot of Republicans who are then rooting for the socialists to take over the Democratic Party. I do not. I've been saying this since 2020 at the very latest, when Bernie Sanders was running against Joe Biden. What I said in 2020 was that I preferred Joe Biden to be the nominee rather than Bernie Sanders, even if Bernie was more likely to lose to Donald Trump. Why? Because the risk factor in having a socialist leader was higher than the risk factor in having a dead leader like Joe Biden.
So in case, just to kind of fill you all in, he's talking about Mamdani, and he's talking about how Andrew Schultz had to sit down with who's looking like they're going to be the next mayor, first Muslim mayor of New York City. And I watched a little bit of the debate, and we were supposed to cover it a little bit of it. I think we said we were going to watch some of it today, but all these new videos keep coming up. But I watched a bit of the debate, and I'm impressed with Mamdani and how he presents himself. I have no idea as far as the policies. I didn't even make it to that point to figure out like policy-wise, but when he's up on stage from a communication standpoint, I can sit back and say like, okay, what's his deal? Because when you're impressed with somebody just based on how they communicate in their performance, that can be a gift and a curse. Somebody can have the gift of gab and use it for doing good things, or somebody can have the gift of gab and use it for doing negative things. So I don't know from a policy standpoint, I don't know much about Mamdani at all. So I do want to preface it with that. But that's what Ben Shapiro's talking about. And a lot of people are upset saying that people are going to leave out of New York City if Mamdani becomes the mayor, because I believe he's a very socialist mayor. People will call him a communist. People, he's pushing for things like, free buses. He wants the rich, I believe, to pay 2% more in taxes, which I thought was insane because I didn't realize that New York, that's 52%. I guess for a certain bracket. Certain bracket that we all aspire. Well, some of us may aspire to get in. And then I was humbled by somebody saying, well, yeah, actually New Jersey's already higher. So I believe New Jersey is even higher, but neither here nor there. That's why I'm now a Florida resident. But let's keep going.
That even if Joe Biden had slightly higher odds to win the presidency than Bernie Sanders, if I have to calculate out the damage that a Bernie Sanders presidency would do versus a Joe Biden presidency, astronomically higher via Bernie Sanders than via Joe Biden, no matter how bad Joe Biden was. I feel the same way about the Democratic Party falling wholesale to the wild left Democratic Socialists. If they do that, yes, there's a lower chance that they will win power anytime soon. However, to pretend that chance doesn't exist is to whistle past the graveyard. Let's say, for example, that the Democratic Party in 2028 right now has a 40% shot of winning the White House with some sort of pseudo-moderate, like a Gavin Newsom or a Wes Moore. And let's say they have a 30% shot of winning the White House with a clear, insane socialist like AOC at the top of the ticket. The damage that would be done by a Wes Moore or a Gavin Newsom, let's say that it's a 7 out of 10. And the damage done by an AOC would be like a 10 out of 10. And well,
so you guys got the context. I want to fast forward a little bit. We were going to jump a little bit, but I don't want to take too much time on Ben Shapiro. And you know what? So I saw RB. Hold on, I saw RB30 write that Mamdani is highly sus. Watch him code switch like a pro. He's a top level central casting type. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the Democratic version of JD Vance. Like, that's who they have on their side. JD Vance to me is very polished. He's a good debater. I feel that JD Vance can sit down and have a conversation in the barbershop, regardless of what his true intentions are. I believe JD Vance just has a certain gift of communication. I believe that. Mamdani, this is why maybe a lot of these people are nervous, because I look at him communicate, and without understanding his policies, without really looking into it, when he communicates, it's coming across a lot different than the other people that he's on stage with. So I believe it was Silwa or Sliwa, Curtis Sliwa, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing his last name incorrectly. My apologies. And who I actually like, and Cuomo. So let's skip ahead a little bit. So let's go to this Andrew Schultz, because I think there's an interesting conversation to be had around this.
So you feel that way, and like I don't think anybody's moving, and I honestly feel that way. And like I'm in the tax bracket. We're going to tax more. Like, dude, if you're going to deliver all this for 2%, give it. I'm 100% supportive. It makes life easier for New Yorkers. This is my one identity in my entire life is a New Yorker. It's the thing I care the most about. But what I will say is that I think that there are going to be people in government that are going to try to restrict you from doing that. And I know that you're aware of that.
okay, first of all, he doesn't have the power to increase state taxes by 2%. And yes, by the way, people who are mobile will move. Historically, they do.
Do you think that Mamdani raising taxes 2% will move? Do you think that Mamdani being Muslim will cause a lot of people to move? Or do you think that a lot of these people are just trying to make a big hype about something because they're scared of losing the influence that they previously had with previous mayors? And they see this not only as a threat to New York City, but they see this as an impact across the entire country, perhaps. Think about it. You think they're scared about New York turning into California? Is New York already California in some ways? Do you think that they are scared when they see a CNN? What did CNN did the? I forget. They did the, what is it called? I'm drawing a blank here. But when CNN did the poll that said that for the first time ever that America now is more empathetic to Palestine than Israel, do you think that's playing a role? I think people are well aware of the shift that is happening in this country, are well aware of the shift that's happening in this country. And I think that Democrats, traditional Democrats, and traditional conservatives may find themselves in a lot of trouble, but in different ways. So when I think of traditional Democrats finding themselves in trouble, I think of like the Hakeem Jeffries, the Chuck Schumer. Hakeem Jeffries can push whatever progressive things that he wants to say. He's not a great communicator, in my opinion, but then he also has to ask those questions about getting called out by taking money from AIPAC. So all the things that people are now calling out when it comes to Epstein, when it comes to these JFK files, when it comes to what's going on between Israel and Palestine, a lot of people are questioning things. What do we talk about a lot on this show? Let's just be honest. We talk about the influence that Israel, AIPAC, and Zionism has on our government. So a lot of people may look at it like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'm not saying that people are looking at it like that, but perhaps that is one of the reasons why we see a lot of these shifts. They'll look at Mamdani and see, I remember seeing some of the previous debates where there were a whole bunch of people on stage and they asked them, like, what was the first thing that you would do if you got in office? And every single other candidate, aside from Mamdani, raised their hand and said, I would take a trip to Israel. Mamdani gave an answer like, well, I would stay in New York City. I'm the mayor of New York City. Like, I would do certain things for New York, for New Yorkers. I'm not the mayor of Israel. And a whole bunch of people who otherwise may not have even given Mamdani a chance, they just perhaps respected him for having the courage to actually say that, rather than sounding like all of these other politicians, which we're now shining a light on more and more. I saw they have like it's almost like a baseball card. Have y'all seen these things? They had Ted Cruz. They had a bunch of candidates where they have like a baseball card, and it shows how much money that you've received from like pro-Israel or Zionist or AIPAC funders. That's why Mamdani is growing so popular. That's why people who may not have been okay with him being Muslim or having a strong relationship to the Islamic community, people who may not have been okay with that are saying now, you know what? It's better than what I'm seeing previous. It's better than us funding this genocide over there for a certain group of people because they feel that they're entitled to certain. I'm telling y'all the conversations that are happening. These are the conversations that are happening. There's a reason all of this stuff works in cycles. All of this stuff works in cycles. Just like the hard times create strong men, it's all just cycles. And now we're at the point in the cycle where a guy like Mamdani is going to be seen as more popular than somebody who may be a traditional Democrat, more like a Cuomo or something like that. Now, traditional Republicans, they have their issues as well. And it seems like Ben Shapiro was trying to position himself, and I know I skipped a lot of the video, but a lot of these things he was complaining about people like Andrew Schultz, who are seen now on the conservative side, especially with Donald Trump when he was going for his election. A lot of the podcast bros, like a Theo Vaughn, let's say even people were saying Joe Rogan's leaning on that side more. I guess you would put a Candace Owens in that category. A lot of these people, Jake Shields, Dan Bilzerian, all of these people that now were embracing more of the conservatism that Trump was pushing, not on the Democratic side. They weren't rocking with that, but a lot of the traditional Republicans, they don't agree and line up with the Jake Shields. They don't agree and line up with Joe Rogan. They don't line up with the Andrew Schultz. They're not just okay with being the neocons and endorsing all these wars, because true America first values. How can you be America first while we're looking at Donald Trump get punked by Israel and Bibi Netanyahu and really sit here and try to act like we're being MAGA or being America first? You can lie and act like that's the thing that you're pushing, but it's not. So here you get a guy like Ben Shapiro who's pushing away from a guy like Andrew Schultz because Andrew Schultz is willing to call out Israel on certain things. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And Ben Shapiro can let's listen to a little bit more. Let's listen to a little bit more.
I mean, because it's not the 2% increase that's going to do it. It's the belief that there is a trajectory of income tax increases that is only going to steepen. I know because I did it. I am a person who grew up not rich, and then I made a lot more money. And then the state of California kept trying to take more and more and more of my money. And that was a major factor in me taking my company and moving it to Tennessee, and me personally moving to Florida, both zero state income tax states. The idea that you can incessantly just grab money from people and that at no point will they move, especially when they are the most mobile class in the country, is beyond. I mean, listen.
First off, Cali is not New York. Let's just be honest with that. Cali is not New York. That's why when you say Cali, you think about where? I don't know. People used to think LA. Now I would say they think more Silicon Valley. When you say New York, you're talking about New York City. You're talking about a very small portion, land size wise, but a lot of people, California is not New York. So I don't know, just because people moved out of California, there's a whole bunch of New Yorkers that moved out of New York and stuff like that. But I don't know if this is going to do it. I don't know if this is going to do it. What do y'all think?
If Schultz wants to pay more cash to the government, he's free to do that. There's a box you can check on your IRS forms that allows you to send more money to the federal government. I assume there's one on the state forms that allows you to send more money to the state government. If Andrew Schultz wants to start a charity where he gives more money so there can be free bus fare in New York, he's free to do that as well.
Or why don't we just use the money that we give to Israel? New York's filled with a whole bunch of, all different types. A lot of Jewish people in New York as well. To me, Ben Shapiro has some nerve getting on here talking about what's going to happen with New Yorkers paying 2% more, but then never addressing the fact that all this money that we're giving to Israel for what? Does Ben Shapiro just care about the New Yorkers? Who does Ben Shapiro care about? Is all funding taken from taxpayers bad, or is it just the funding that goes towards Americans that let's say that there's social programs? What's the difference between a social program for the Americans and what I look at as a social welfare program for the state of Israel? What's the difference? Oh, we don't look at it as welfare when it gets sent to Israel because of what? Because Israel's already very successful. Because they can provide free health care to all their people. Because the kids don't pay for, do the kids even pay for college over there? How are you going to sit here and talk about, this is, the audacity. This is what happens when you're only in the room with certain types of people, when you're in this bubble. Like, bro, you're sitting here talking about New Yorkers paying more money. Okay, let's say that they are taking money, tax dollars. So we're taking tax dollars from Americans, right? From Americans, but you may not agree with the program. You may think that it's detrimental to even the people that, let's say he wants to you may have this mindset, and somewhat I do, where you give people things for free, and you may just say hey, that never works. You're just trying to give them something so you can win their votes, but you know that this is going to be detrimental to them because most people don't appreciate things that are free. You may have that mindset, but at least it's American money that is taken from Americans to be applied to American issues. Ben Shapiro, when it comes to the money that is being provided to Israel, that's American tax-paying money leaving the country and going to another country. That's not helping Americans. Matter of fact, it's just putting us at risk, getting us involved in certain things, just like Osama bin Laden wrote on his manifest manifesto, his letter to America, that one of the reasons why they did flew the planes into the buildings was because of our support for Israel. So what are we actually talking about when we're having these conversations? And I just like for the energy to be the same across the board. Let's keep going.
But, this idea that you can change policy with no ramifications for anyone else is sort of bizarre. And again, this goes back to the central point. Andrew's entitled to all of his opinions, obviously. He's a very popular show. He's a popular comedian. To pretend that he's some sort of great shakes politically, at least on the right side of the aisle, he himself Andrew would not tell you that he is a thought leader on the right side of the aisle. I keep pointing this out because there are people who keep trying to treat him that way. And there are people.
This is what I don't like, what a lot of these elitists tend to do. What's the guy that did the debate with my guy, Dave Smith? Not Josh Hammer, even though he's one of them as well. Douglas Murray. These elitists, this is what they do. They try to act as if because somebody may be a comedian or because somebody's not a traditional politician or a traditional education intellectual person or Ben Shapiro, whatever. Y'all know what they try to do. They try to act as if, oh, well, you know, they're not a thought leader. And they would never even say that they're a thought leader. Maybe they wouldn't, but they are a thought leader. They're a conversation leader because they bring different types of people on their platforms to share thoughts that a lot of thoughts you are scared to acknowledge, and that in your bubble, these thoughts will never even come up. These conversations will never even come up throughout Ben Shapiro's day, the people that he's talking to. The people that perhaps the situation would come up, let's say with Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh, who work for his company. We've seen what happens when Ben Shapiro sits down with them and voices his opinion. He's their boss. The dynamics come out. They're exposed. They're scared to say certain things. They saw what happened to Candace Owens. Ben Shapiro's in Florida and his entire company and everybody working is in Tennessee, his entire team. Why would he want to be in Florida? Well, I don't know. I said it once, and that wasn't one of those I don't know. So that's not one that I owe $10 for. Think about this. Let's keep going, and then we're going to move on because I do want to play at least a clip of the next one.
Who do the same thing with like Tim Dillon or Joe Rogan or a bunch of other people who themselves would tell you they are not on the right. Don't do that if you're on the right. It's silly. It is stupid. The reason that Andrew Schultz moved to the right is because he got tired of the censoriousness of the left. But anti-left does not make you conservative. And that is important when you're defining which voices get to shape and lead the coalition that is going to be running from the right side of the aisle. Again, here's Andrew Schultz continuing to gloss an open socialist who hates capitalism, Zoran Mamdani.
I'm worried about entrenched politics. Yeah. And I'm worried about the people that fund them, because they're the same people that have been fundraising against you. No. Okay. And I'm worried about them bending to their whim. And what scares me a little bit is there are going to be people that are incentivized for you to fail. Mm-hmm. And then if that pendulum swings all the way the other way, how many more people get hurt? And I guess my question is like, do you ever worry about that? Or do you have to be so blinders on?
Wow. I mean, the tough questions there. Tough questions. Again, my point here is not that Andrew Schultz needs to be some sort of right-winger. He isn't. So people should stop treating him like that because he isn't one.
Yo, imagine Ben Shapiro gatekeeping. First off, nobody wants to be right-wing. Nobody, all these dumbass names that they give things, like this is the problem. Like adults wanting to join, whether it's a frat, a gang, or whatever. Like, yo, what is this? Like, I never was the type to get so excited about being in a group or feeling like, oh no, gatekeeping, like who can be a part of certain things that I or somebody else may have going on. What are we, like, this isn't right wing. He's not right wing. He's not conservative. Bro, he's an American. He's an American. And I'm not sure that too many people would lead when they're talking about Ben Shapiro and saying that they're an American. So I'm pretty sure that that's a compliment that he may get that you may not get. Yo, sparkling coconut water. Shout out to Maya. And I put a little lime juice in there too. The lime is good for early morning. It does something. But yeah, moving on. All right, so many things are telling me to just finish the show now because I am trying to work on it being shorter and adjusting because we are doing every day. But I think we're done with Ben Shapiro here. And I want y'all to really look at it. I'm not going to have too many interruptions on this that I'm getting ready to show y'all. But this is a video on tribalism. So as we've discussed in the last week and really for longer than that, tribalism, I want y'all to really ask yourselves when it comes to, maybe I should reposition the question. Who's your tribe? Who's your tribe? What is your tribe based on? Who is your tribe? Like, is your tribe, oh, am I black? That's my tribe. Am I Am I an American? That's my tribe. Am I a football player? That's my tribe. Am I in a fraternity? Am I in a sorority? Do I belong to the company that I work for? Is that my tribe? And think about your tribe growing up, what it was. And think about the impact and influence that has had in shaping how you see certain things now. It may be religion. It may be political issues. It may be how you look at things from a sexual orientation, what culture has evolved into where we currently are. Who's your tribe? And how has your tribe influenced you? So let's take a look at this. And the reason why I'm asking that is because a lot of times our tribes, they prevent us from having conversations that may just be like this, where we get a whole bunch of people in the room. First off, let's pat ourselves on the back. Because a lot of these conversations don't happen on a day-to-day, and maybe they happen often on YouTube when people are doing their shows, but we have all different types of people, all different types of backgrounds, across the board when it comes to politics, across the board when it comes to religion, ethnicity, how much money you make, everything we have in this group. That's what this channel is built on. So I think that a lot of times our tribe, they almost serve as a block. They challenge us in a lot of ways from being able to expose ourselves to different backgrounds, to receive different information, to learn from different experiences, to get rid of a lot of the bias that we have and have a more objective view of looking at the world because we have so many different people that we're able to learn from. So just think about that and let's move on from there. And Tim put it very, very clearly. A good person. That's you. Welcome to my tribe. I love this. This is my mindset. This aligns with my overall religion, my greatest religious principle, which is treat others the way that I want to be treated. And I know you mean good in the truest sense of that word, like good. Maybe people should look up good, what the word good means, because a lot of times we can take for granted what that actually means. But if you're a good person, if I like people that align with my principles, morals, and values, you don't have to see things and agree with everything that I say. But just from a principled standpoint, from a value standpoint, from an integrity standpoint, how do we disagree? What does that look like? Are our arguments disrespectful? Are they respectful? You're my guy. You're my girl. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at stuff. So let's move on. Hold on. Let me Critical Thinking wrote, my tribe is anyone who is a true constitutionalist, those that live by doing to others. I love that. I love that. I love that. Doing to others as you would like done unto you. I don't know the whole scripture, but y'all get what I'm saying. A barrier self-imposed, a self-imposed barrier. That's exactly what it is. That's what tribalism is. Why are we scared to learn other cultures? We may find something dope in another culture. We probably will. If you don't find something amazing in another culture, that says more about you, in my opinion, than that other culture. It's almost like certain people, have you ever had, like the most intelligent people, the people that I respect the most, they can get in a room with anybody and learn something from that person. They don't look at, oh, is this person making more money than me? Do they have more degrees or they had a higher? They can learn from anybody. The smartest, most intelligent people that I know can learn from anybody. So doesn't that stance still hold when it comes to appreciating somebody else's culture, appreciating somebody else's experience, even if it's just their personal experience? How can we not? So I think the tribalism prevents us from having that. And we miss that. We're living in a society right now without that. That's why everybody's so to themselves. That's why we're always in our phone. When we walk by somebody, it's not natural for us to say hi. We can get on the elevator and not even speak, not even look, not even acknowledge somebody. It's not natural. You ever see somebody get on the elevator with their dog? What is their dog doing? Their dog's looking at who's in the elevator, looking around, wanting to interact because they know that there's another being around them. Curious. We don't have any of that. We have the horse blinders on. We don't care about what everybody else has going on. We don't care about their culture. We don't even care about, and it impacts us even in our family lives. I think when we put up these self-imposed barriers that Tim is talking about, it impacts us in our personal lives as well. if people don't see things the same way. We have a lot of the holidays coming up. A lot of the holidays, and I think that they're going to talk about this in this video, and I'm going to shut up because I got to get to the video. They're going to talk about this in this video, I believe, about how certain people don't even want to be around their family for the holidays because they don't identify, I guess, with how I look at it, their tribe and how their tribe looks at things, even in their own family. Let's take a look.
Research recently found that people don't want to even spend as much time at Thanksgiving with their families if there's going to be political conflict. People are now less willing to date somebody from another political party than they are to date somebody from a different race. And if you think about the history of this country and how much aversion there was to interracial marriage, you've seen a sea change in how people are carving up the world and what defines us and them. And that is actually going to create even more division over time.
I'm sorry, but I have to stop very quickly because on it, I have to address what you just wrote. I think that this is dope. Seriously. Now, actually thinking about it, I myself have been reassessing what I thought was my tribe from what I've learned the last 8 years. I am furious at my tribe, selective humanity. I would love for you to give a little bit more context, but even with your just saying right now, this is dope because this is what we're supposed to be doing, processing things, processing the way that we looked at life yesterday, the year before, how we grew up, all these, this is what all this is about. And we should apply this to every aspect of our life. Just because we've been taught something doesn't mean that it's the correct way, doesn't mean that it's the right way if there is a right and wrong. It just means that that's what somebody else decided to teach us for whatever reason, taking their intent out of it. The ability for us to question certain things, to reprocess, I think is very valuable. Let's keep it going.
Seeing how our tribal psychology plays out in these partisan politics. But what makes us end up in one political tribe or another? Where does that come from?
So there's research showing that about 50% of your political beliefs are determined by genetics. And so if you share certain political beliefs in common with your parents, it's not because your parents raised you a certain way, it's because you share their biology. What happens is that nudges you towards having a certain type of personality. By very definition, conservatives want to preserve the past, whereas liberals want to shake that up and change it. So there are legitimate differences in how they want to see society. But then you start to add in environment, cultural values, morality, information you're getting in the media and from political leaders. If you get in the right friend group, you can get nudged away from this. It's not destiny per se, but it turns out to account for a huge amount of your political preferences as you get older and grow into adulthood. But there's a dark side to it. And the dark side is that our identities can make us polarized and tribal and guide us into conflict.
Every time we find ourselves as a member of a tribe, we're going to see the world through a tribal lens. It's kind of like rose-colored glasses, but it's kind of tribe-colored glasses. You know, only the good stuff from my tribe gets through. It means there are no objective facts. Even when we have a fact on the ground, we're not going to see it the same way. And one of the most famous recent examples of this came after the Trump election, when there was a big debate about a picture of how many individuals were at the Trump inauguration or the Obama inauguration.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
The president's team, on something very simple and straightforward, wants to embrace a fantasy rather than a reality.
If we highly identify with a group, we cognitively defend them by ignoring inconvenient facts that make the group look bad. We direct our attention to sources of information that tell us our groups are positive. Now, this is a problem because our prejudices and hate for one another and for different groups actually makes us susceptible to fake news, to propaganda, and to conflict.
One change that is almost perfectly coincidental with this trend about increasing polarization is, of course, technology. So the internet, the blogosphere, 24/7 news channels has now made it easy for partisans to tune in to people that they agree with.
The alt-radical left propaganda media has created what I call an informational crisis in this country, and they can no longer be trusted.
This is one of those days where what happened today in politics means something totally different to the portion of Americans who watch Fox News than it does to everybody else in the country.
They're offering more vitriolic commentary. They're offering, really harsh coverage. People are misinformed about the other side. And at some point, it has to add to the animosity and the hostility being expressed by all.
This is what it looks like when children argue. Is this not what it looks like when children argue? Like if babies could talk or little kids on the playground, this is what it looks like when they argue. And this is what we're seeing as we're growing up now, or with this generation of kids growing up. This is what we're displaying. So how do we think that they're going to behave when they become of age where they can go to a protest and say, no, I'm not trying to make fun of protest. I guess not. But what do we think that this is setting an example of? Arguing about what? Arguing about who can be more polarizing, because the people that show up to a lot of these rallies, no disrespect if people have, I think we've all gone to rallies before. But a lot of these people that are showing up to these things, and the ones that are going to be acting I don't want to say craziest, but the ones that are going to be, conducting the most extreme radical behavior, those are the ones that even the people that are walking with them don't even agree with. They wouldn't even like being around. So what is really the benefit of all this, looking at this thing like a tribe and looking at these things as us versus them? We have been fooled. We've been finessed. Don't we realize that the politicians don't even look at it like that? The politicians don't even look at it like that. The politicians know the Democrats need each other. If they just got rid of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party would just split, and then they would have just as much animosity towards they have a new name. I guess if they just split them and created two new names, then they would just be going back and forth. The problem is these people they're getting paid to play against each other. They're getting paid to play against each other. However, we look at it like, oh no, these people are real. We're watching wrestling. We're watching Hulk Hogan. We're watching The Rock. This is what these politicians are. And we're believing that it's real. We're actually believing that, oh no, they actually want to do something that's good for us. That's not what it's about. As soon as they start taking money from the people who that's not what it's about too, and they start taking money to push certain things that are going to push an agenda that directly contradict you getting into or what you allegedly got into office, which was which was to save the American people, to save humanity, whatever other righteous, decision or foundation you put in your mind as for what was, I should say, the foundation of your decision in entering politics. It goes out the window as soon as you take money from people who that's not their foundational way of thinking. Now you just work for them. Let's keep going.
Ordinary citizens.
News media is using aspects of our psychology, the fact that we are so tribal, to make money. We naturally gravitate to information that confirms what our group already believes. So the media can profit by feeding us what we want to see. There's an incentive structure out there to keep us so polarized.
This is what we're seeing in America today.
When we only affiliate with the in-group and have no contact with the out-group, when the out-group becomes this sort of fictitious enemy that only does horrible things, I think one worry about the current media that we have, particularly social media and so on, is that we can wind up in these echo chambers where we're only talking to other members of our in-group.
We're starting to see really good research showing that Facebook and social media makes you seek comfort and security in your partisan identity, which means that you're more susceptible to the idea that the other party's followers are not just bad people, but a threat to you personally, and that will justify extreme action to keep them out of power. The
hold on.
whatever content to you.
We got to run that part back. We have to run that part back. Please listen to this.
In your partisan media we're starting to see really good research showing that Facebook and social media makes you seek comfort and security in your partisan identity, which means that you're more susceptible to the idea that the other party's followers are not just bad people, but a threat to you personally. And
what does that sound like? What tribalism creates? He says you get to a point where you start to see the other side as not just bad people, but a threat to you personally. Maybe we can bring Ben Shapiro back into this conversation because he seems to have a lot of opinions when it comes to Israel-Palestine. Is that not what we've been convinced when it comes to Israel-Palestine? And I hate to always just go to that, but it's an example that needs to be discussed because it's clearly a problem. It's been a problem for a very long time, and it highlights, in my opinion, a lot of our challenges with humanity. You start to see those other people not just as bad people, but a threat to you personally. This is why you can have, hold on. 1 second. I got to bring up a video. Hold on, I got to bring up a video. This is why you can, this is why this occurs. This is why this occurs. Madeleine Albright. We've watched this video plenty of times, but this is why.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? I know y'all already get it. This is why. Oh, those are bad people. This is why propaganda is so serious. This is why Bibi Netanyahu makes it clear that, oh yeah, this is good. Why we got one of ours taking over TikTok now. This is why people are getting paid $7,000 for Zionist posts, allegedly. This is why, because if you can control the narrative, you can convince people, if you can convince a group of people that the people that you're doing negative things to, that they're bad people, and that they're also a threat to you. See, this is what the Democratic Party does to black people all the time. Those other people on the other side, bad. We're good. And they're a threat to you. They're the reason why you're not doing well in America. They're the reason, those racist Republicans, those conservatives, they're the reason. This is what happens when we have tribalism. And then we just go to war, right? Because now, once you've decided those two things, that the people that we're up against, or that you're up against, and I'm with you, so we're up against, once you decide that those people are bad, and you decide that they are a threat to you personally, there is absolutely nothing to a lot of people, and we're seeing it clear as day right now, that won't be justified when it comes to certain things that are done against that people, because selfishly, right? Selfishly, we've already identified them as bad people and a threat to us. So therefore, I gotta get them before they get me. That's the mindset. And not only do we do it like that, we'll also add a little flavor, like Salt Bay. We'll add a little religious in there, add a little religion, add a little politics, or add a little religion to that politics concoction. And then we'll start doing these evil acts in the name of God. We'll start finding some type of scripture that aligns with this evil that we're looking to commit. And once we find that, then we're locked in. We're good. Hey, we found a scripture. We convinced those people that they're bad. We convinced our followers that those other people are bad. And we convinced them with amazing propaganda that they're a threat to their personal lives. So therefore, let's start the genocide. Let's keep going.
And that will justify extreme action to keep them out of power.
The Salt Bay.
The algorithm delivers whatever content to you they believe will draw the most engagement. Any content that touches on negative primal emotions like anger or fear, or anything that touches on a sense of tribalism. We know that when people are isolated into a like-minded group, that their opinions tend to get more extreme, and they tend to be more fearful of and hostile towards people who are not in that group. The Facebook algorithm is not evil in and of itself. I mean, it's a pretty simple idea, right? Serve people the content that they want to see. But the thing is that we have these base tendencies and urges that modern society is designed to help us contain and manage and work around. And this Facebook algorithm is perfectly designed to just bypass all of those institutions that are supposed to manage that and just bring all of those urges out. And what we're now beginning to understand is that it doesn't just lead to people saying nasty things on Facebook, but it actually makes people significantly more prone to real-world violence.
You can look back to all of the wars, all of the conflicts we've seen over human history, like over the long human history. And in each case, what we find is group identity is at work, and it's allowing normally empathic humans to do some horrible stuff to other members of our own species.
Damn. Did y'all peep that last part? We need 60 seconds today. So we're going to go through four series. Oh, man. Holy. All right, so that's a wrap. That's a wrap for today. But we have the most important part of the show. So for all y'all, and just, I hope y'all know, it's very hard for me to leave y'all before we at least get to 10 o'clock. But just schedule-wise, it has to be this way, at least for now. So we're going to try to make these shows, since we're doing them every day now, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., unless we need to change for scheduling issues, may have some meetings and whatnot. But 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. Oh, do me a favor real quick before we do our 60 seconds of breath work, a little bit more than 60 seconds. Just subscribe, turn your notifications on, and maybe even share the actual show with your group chat if you haven't done so already. Maybe I proved the value. If you felt like the show gave you some value, that's a favor that you could definitely do for us, and just share it. Definitely appreciate it. But let's go through our breath work. Oh, salute, big bro. Salute. Salute. Yeah. I'm convinced that Robert B is just my mom or my dad that that put their name as Robert B, and just are doing any and everything to support the show. So that's why they, nah, I'm just joking, but appreciate you, Rob. Appreciate you always. All right. So the most important part of the show, we're going to do our breath work. We're going to do our box breath work from our big bro, Steve. And how it goes, if you guys haven't done it before, and this is going to be amazing. We're big on manifesting. We're big on visualizing here. We're big on tapping into who we are, who we truly are, right? From a spiritual sense, everything. Bringing it all together. So 4 seconds on the inhale. So we're going to do a 4-second inhale. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. 4-second exhale. 4 seconds. Then we'll hold for another 4 seconds. And on every exhale, I want y'all to concentrate on getting rid of the negative energy, the limiting energy, anything that's holding you back from accomplishing anything in your life, and you are preventing, I should say, you from reaching your maximum potential, right? As you strive for that purposeful abundance that we always talk about, but we'll get to that when we're done with our breath work. So on the inhales, feel the positive energy being into your system, being breathed into your system. And then we're going through 4 times. So that means we'll have 4 exhales. So on that final exhale, really feel the rest of that negative energy getting out of you. And if you still got a little bit more, you can get it out on the next breath. So let's go through this box set. We are going, do we need some, I should start playing some sound bowl noises or something like that. Hold on. Is that going to mess up the show? Let's see. Let's get a little sound bowl in the background. Sound bowl meditation. Worst case scenario, they just won't let us monetize, but it's all good. It is all good. There's things more important than monetization out here. All right, so let me put this in the background. So as we're doing our breath work, you guys will follow me. I'll give you the directions, or you can go at your own pace. So let's begin. Hold on. So we're going to do 4-second inhale, 4-second inhale. Ready? Begin. Hold. Exhale. 4 seconds. Hold. All right, we're going to do an inhale, 4 seconds. Hold. Exhale, 4 seconds. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. All right, get that last bit of negative energy out if you haven't already. Exhale. Hold. All right, now slowly open your eyes, and as your eyes open, please see the light in the world as you see the light internally in yourself. Now let me come on. Oh no, seriously, that was dope. I should keep going. I should have kept going with that. We'll leave this in the background. We'll turn it down a little bit. We'll leave that in the background. That's gonna mellow out the rest of the show. But y'all know what we come here to do. Y'all know what we come here to do. We come to elevate on purpose, raising our standards to become the most impactful leaders that we can become. All right, raising our standards, and that you can't just be a leader without raising the standards. We got to raise our standards, so therefore we can naturally allow others to raise their standards and challenge them to do the same, and they'll embrace it. And also raising our standards to become just the best versions that we can become. You know, when we talk about maximizing our potential, this is what we're talking about. When we're going to strive for our purposeful abundance, how can we strive for our purposeful abundance if we're not maximizing our potential and becoming the greatest versions of ourselves? So strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know what I mean when I say get to that bag. If y'all don't know what I mean when I say get to the bag, all the things that we focus on throughout the hour, throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, that are ultimately going to factor into what's going to be our impact on this world. And that impact we like to call our personal legend. All right. So you got to determine what's in your bag, what your focus is going to be. Once you determine your focus, then you can have a plan to make sure that you're on the proper trajectory to live out your purpose and to strive for that purposeful abundance. Things that I focus on are peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity, and of course, adding on that balance. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all as always. And I every time I get on this show with y'all, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm not humbled. I am humbled in certain ways, in the most positive ways, but more so y'all empower me. Y'all give me a whole lot of confidence. So I definitely have to thank you for that. So I'll make sure that I'm keeping up on my end and making sure that I'm delivering the value, because I get so much in return from you all. I can only hope that y'all get the same in return from me. So on that note, I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. Have a great day, Mr. Black Guy in the corner. Hey, have a great day, everyone. This Christmas Island camp sure is better than Camp Valhalla. Hold on. I feel like I need a little more. I feel like I'm a little naive when it comes to, I feel like I missed something. So Art Tesseract, I didn't want to gloss over that, but I just feel like I'm not, I don't know how to respond. Just because I'm not as, I know Valhalla, but yeah. Appreciate y'all being here. That's what I meant to say. Appreciate y'all being here. Bro just made my day. This is dope. Thanks for being here, y'all. All right, so Big Bro Steve, he usually gives us a nice message to end us out. So success is not the destination, but the relentless pursuit of growth and improvement. Let me say that one more time. Success is not the destination, but the relentless pursuit of growth and improvement. Let's make it a great day. All right, let's make it a great day. Quee sent the fire emojis. That means we're out of here. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.